Well, Ben, the music's still playing.
I don't see anyone.
Well, you can't see anyone. We're live. And there we are. Hey, welcome to the post show. I'm here with a very special guest.
Who?
Ben, you're the special guest.
I am. Hi.
So guess what we're going to be talking about tonight?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, do you want to guess?
Could it have to deal with the stuff on the table?
You mean all that stuff back there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have something to do with drones.
What's a drone?
A drone is a object that you can fly.
Like a bee?
No, it's not like a bee.
I like bees.
You like bees? Why do you like bees?
Well, you know what they say.
What do they say?
Where there's bee, there's honey.
Yeah, no, but we're not talking about honey tonight, Ben. We are talking about flying drones and the Part 107 license and the certification and the trust test and registration and the FAA and all of that stuff.
I don't think I like drones.
You don't like drones? You don't even know really what a drone is.
Does it have honey?
No, but we might be able to add some honey. Look what I have.
I like that.
How about if I put a little bit of this on the drone? Then will you like it?
I like drones.
Okay, well, I'm going to take this, Ben, and I'm going to put it down there. Would you watch it for me?
I'll watch it for you.
That's Benjamin C. Bear, and he is going to make sure he watches the honey. And right now, I'm trying to get my adult hand out of a puppet that I made literally when I was 17 years old. Ben has been in the family for that long. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hopefully you are in the chat with me. Let's turn the chat on and see who's here. It's good to have Hank here and TVJ and Tech for Fun is back and David is back and Tony is back and DJ Ware is back. And I hope you guys enjoyed that little moment with Benjamin C. Bear. So it's amazing. I don't know what motivates you, but I know what motivates Benjamin C. Bear. Now, he did have a drone story, and I don't know why he didn't tell it. He knows what a drone is. I remember him telling me a story a long time ago about a drone flying into his cave, and it caught him in his birthday suit. And so he's not a fan of drones, but he is a fan of honey. And so when I asked him how he felt about that photograph in his birthday suit, he felt embarrassed. He put on a little bit of extra weight for hibernation, and he was not looking that great. But he did say it was a good thing he had his winter coat on. So congratulations, Benjamin C. Bear, for your experience with a drone. So if you're going to fly your drone, there are some things you need to know. Number one, if it's 0.55 grams, I believe, or 200, whatever the DJI drone says right on it, right? Doesn't it say right on the drone, 249 grams? So with the regular stock battery, this is just below the weight limit for you to have to register. But I already registered my Limitless 4. Let's pop it out of here. So you can compare Limitless 4 drone, Mavic 3 Mini 3 Pro. But as I said earlier, if you add the bigger battery, then you need to register your drone. And I have my registration card right here. I laminated it. You also need to take a test, and we're going to talk about that. Just the stipulations now in the United States, I believe it's all 50 states, you need to get a new certification or take a test. It's called the trust test. And I think I have, let's see here, if I can get this thing working here. Move my chat over. Technical difficulties. Okay, we'll put this on the screen. You can see it right now. I'll turn chat off the air, and I'm going to cut to this in Super Source. Let's change what is in, let's see, what boxes did I use for the live show? Super Source. Let's see, box 1 is my A10 Mini Pro, which is great. So we're going to change box 2 to my camera 4. The cropping is whack job, so let me size this down, turn cropping off. And let me bring up box 1 in size. And we're going to bring it down. Box 2 smaller. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm moving around in Super Source. So let me make this live right now. There you go. This would be great if this was just a little bigger, I think. And I'll move it over a little bit more and move me over and down a little bit more. Now it's faster in Mix Effects, but I'm not using that tonight to adjust this. So here is the information. I'm going to go to full screen here. Program view on my monitor. Program view. No, let's go camera 3. Make it easier for me here. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up using my shuttle. So recreational or commercial business drone flying. Now I added the title, but this is right from the FAA page. Many people assume that a recreational flight is one that is not operated for business or any form of compensation, but that's not always the case. Financial compensation or lack of it is not what determines if the flight is recreational or commercial. The following information can be used to help you determine what rules you should be operating under. Remember, the default regulation for drones weighing under 55 pounds, and again, this is under 55, not 55, up to 55 pounds, is Part 107. So basically, Part 107, this certification that Tony, who said Quick Tech Solutions, already has, and maybe someone else tonight has that certification as well. I'm studying for that certification. It says that's covered by Part 107. So from the DJI drone without the new higher linked batteries and down, those do not need to be registered. But again, if it's overweight, it needs to be registered up to 55 pounds, and the Part 107 certificate covers that weight range. It says, so the exception for recreational flyers only applies to flights that are purely for fun or personal enjoyment. When in doubt, fly under Part 107. So in reality, guys, they've pretty well limited drone flights now because there's so many drones being purchased. There's so many out there. You have toy drones, which don't need to be registered because they're lighter weight. But once you get into these bigger drones like the Mavic and a lot of the drones that people are flying, even the Limitless by the drone clone experts, Limitless 4, which you can only buy on Amazon. You can't even find it on their website because they have a 3-month commitment to Amazon, but eventually you'll see it on their website. You can get training videos on how to fly it. And I have that drone, and it is registered. I can fly it strictly for pleasure. But what is pleasure? This is telling us what pleasure is. Note, non-recreational purposes include things like taking photos to help, or note, non-recreational purposes including things like taking photos to help sell property or service, roof inspections, or taking pictures of a high school football game for the school's website. Good will or other non-monetary value can also be considered indirect compensation. This would include things like volunteering to use your drone to survey coastlines on behalf of a nonprofit organization. Recreational flight is simply flying for fun or personal enjoyment. So, for instance, right, one of the reasons that I wanted to get the Mini 3 was to fly at the Oregon coast. We are going to the Oregon coast for a wedding this weekend, and I wanted to fly a drone. And I've been thinking about it for a while, getting some beautiful cascading wedding pictures for my son and my daughter-in-law. And in reality, I have learned since then, as I've been studying and talking to other people like Tony from Quick Tech Solutions. Make sure you go over, check out his channel and subscribe. Talking to people that already have a Part 107 license, what the rules are. And what I've been learning is that pretty much, if I want to fly this new drone, right, and show you any video footage, I'm going to have Tony, or like I did a few weeks back, another Part 107 licensed pilot is going to have to supervise me, and they're going to be ultimately responsible for me wrecking. So keep that in mind. So I'm still learning to fly. That's why I will use my Limitless 4 to really learn how to fly, learn how that drone reacts, and then I will begin to learn how to fly my DJI Mini 3 Pro. But the important thing is, if you really want to start using it, and I do, I want to put it on my channel. I want to use the footage for other business opportunities. And if I want to do that, I am not recreationally flying. Now they've added something even new, and that is the new trust test. And here is my passing card that I made for the trust test. And the trust test applies to anybody who wants to fly a drone in that weight category, because they do not want you even recreational flying a drone now, the FAA, without having some basic knowledge of what's right, what's wrong. And I think if you are going to be a Part 107 drone flyer, and again, please don't get mad at me, I'm new to this whole drone thing, but I think if you are flying responsibly and you're not breaking the rules, right? And those rules have to do with people's privacy, their safety, where you fly the drone. It has to do, and we're going to talk about some of these limits here in a minute. It has to do with airports around you. It has to do with things that are happening in your region, your area. It has to do with weather. It has to do with knowing how your drone is going to handle in certain situations, when you should fly, when you shouldn't fly, if there's people around you, both taking off and flying it. All of those things are things that you need to understand and you need to know. So they really want you to not only have your drone that's over a Mini 3 Pro weight, right, or with the bigger battery in it. They want you to register your drone. And again, and the rules are changing again next year with tracking that drone. But for right now, they want you to register your drone. And I could probably get away without registering this, but I will register this tomorrow. It costs about $5 at the FAA site. And then I will put a little sticker on here with my number, which is also on my card. I already have that sticker on this drone. So if I was to fold out these legs on this drone, which I've done a number of times, I have my flight number is right here on a sticker already. And so I've already done that, and I've already passed the trust test. And now I am actually in process of learning all about flying. I think I'm going to be a pilot. Not that I ever planned on being a pilot, but I've dreamt about flying since I was a little kid. I've been pretty well afraid of drones, and I've shared this before on my channel because of things that have happened around me, wreck stories of people wrecking their drones, losing thousands of dollars. And that's why I think $1,000 drone, right, is the right price for me, because if I do destroy this drone, what's going to happen? Who's going to be responsible? I am learning that I am ultimately responsible for my drone, or who's flying my drone, and my license is going to keep me responsible. And then if something was to happen, if there was an accident, you need to know how many days you have to report it, what accidents to report or not to report, who you report it to. And there is so much going on that this is my study guide. Yep. This is my study guide right from the Federal Aviation Administration's website. There's some blank pages in here for writing notes. It's 80 pages long. It covers things like reporting accidents, how to read charts, knowing what areas are safe to fly and not safe to fly. It covers things like no-fly areas and restricted zones. It covers weights. It covers how to fly, clouds, what you should know about the environment, safety procedures for your drone, inspections, you name it. It's in the Part 107 class. And I got to tell you guys, I'm not just taking this to pass my class. If you know anything about my channel and you know anything about me, if I'm going to do something, part of the reason why I have not got involved in drones at all is that I dive all in. I'm not a halfway, part of the way person. And because drones became a part of the lifestyle that I was at with this local store I was at, the sales manager at that time had just been studying for his Part 107 license, got his Part 107 license. He had like 5 drones. I showed a quick interview a couple weeks ago with him. It was quite fascinating to be around someone that had drones with him. I mean, he was flying before work. He was telling me about all these stories. I got to see footage of his flights, and he helped me take my first ever flight. And I actually flew, not my drone, his Mini 3 Pro, and he supervised that, which you can do. You can actually have a Part 107 license and supervise someone else. Just understand that you are 100% responsible. And we were in an area where there was no one right by us. We flew straight up was the plan, pivoted around and straight back down again to our landing zone. And even then, my good friend, Jeremy Prock, who I'm working with, who talked me out of retirement from the RV industry, actually came under as I was bringing the drone down and got spooked because he should not have been in that flight area. And we had it kind of designated, but he came out of nowhere and came right under that drone that night. And we would have been both responsible, but ultimately the person with the Part 107 license is the primary person that's responsible. So registration, if it's in that weight category, above 249 grams, up to 55 pounds, they need to be registered. You have a test that you need to take, basic knowledge, called the trust test. And then also, they really want you to fly kind of under club rules. So the recommendations that I'm hearing from everybody that I'm in contact with is that you want to have these with you, right? So this is the AMA, Academy of Model Aeronautics, and this is their safety program, their handbook. I printed this out. I've read it from cover to cover. And that's where I began to realize what a responsibility I have to be up in the air. The other thing I did not know, just share a couple things that were surprising to me, was that you have to be, you need to be in line of sight of your drone at all times. And if you do not have 3 miles of clear sky, you're not supposed to fly. Interesting, isn't it? And also, I'm learning things about flying. And maybe you've been on the channel before, but my father-in-law, who passed away this February, he built a hangar, he built an airplane. So I was around planes all the time. He even took me up flying. I'll never forget that experience. I talked with him about his plane all the time. I didn't really help him build it to say, but I was there and handed him wrenches and things like that. And he built this plane, and it was fascinating to me, but I never really had a desire to fly because I don't like heights anyway. But it's been an interesting journey for me the last couple weeks since I won that Limitless 4 drone. It set a lot of things in motion, and I didn't realize what the rules were. And the more I read the rules about flying that drone, and I got feedback from some of you, I began to realize that I had a responsibility before I took that thing up. So my first flight was literally 4 feet off the ground in my backyard, and that was it, other than when I was supervised to fly it that day at our sale, where I flew the Mini 3 Pro. So, okay, back to the chat. Let's see. I need to go like this. Chat on the air. Should be on the air. Glad you enjoyed that. I think this is great. Is probably Benjamin C. Bear. And yes, I am a ventriloquist. You can thank Joe from Conjoling Technologies. And I don't think Joe's on with us tonight, but he was the primary catalyst to get me to get my puppets out. So the post show also was designed so that I can bring the puppets in as co-host occasionally. And if my listeners had their way, always in the post show, there would be a cameo from one of my furry friends. And yes, I did make that puppet years ago when I was 17. Actually, take that back. I was 19 years old after I graduated from high school early here. I went back east on a bus, and I actually traveled as a ventriloquist. That's right. I was a traveling professional ventriloquist, got offered a TV gig, and I'd already bought my plane ticket home. So I turned that gig down and flew back, and always had the puppets around. I did them in children's events as well. I've done some routines for my family, but most of it was when I was younger. And so I'm very rusty, but it's been quite fun in reality to get the gang back out again. And I apologize if you think it's weird, because if you really think about it, in so many respects, it is weird. Seriously weird. But if you have an ultra ego, right? Or ultra personality, like you like to do a voice of a grandpa all the time, or you like to do funny voices, or did that as a kid, it's a perfect outlet. And you'd be amazed at what you can get away with saying when it's the puppet's mouth moving and yours isn't. So just be aware, if you are going to be a ventriloquist, you definitely want to try to not move your lips. And you definitely want to make sure you're looking at the puppet when it says those things, and look surprised. That's your ventriloquist training for tonight. Thank you. Good to see you again, Doug. We had Benjamin C. Bear on earlier. I hope you got to see that. Must you purchase a drone before you do your Part 107 license, or can you take the test before purchasing? Well, I'm definitely not the expert on this. In fact, I put a link to Tony Northrups. Tony and Chelsea have been around a long time. I've listened to a lot of their videos. I thought I was subscribed, but I realized that for some reason I'm not subscribed. But I put a link to his free class. And I'm pretty sure you don't have to have a drone in order to get your Part 107 license. But I don't know for sure, because the process is register. If it's in that weight category, then take the trust test, which is like a basic test. And there's a number of different locations that you can take that test at. You don't have to pay for it. Make sure you go to the FAA site. There's so many people paying AdWords money to get you to go through their classes, their courses. It does cost $150 approximately to take the Part 107 test. You have 14 days to take it again if you fail it. I think there's right around 82 questions on that test. You have to pass it, I believe, with an 80% or so. Again, don't quote me. Watch Tony's video, because he covers all of that. And thank you, Tony Northrup. And I'll put some other links here later tonight. Ran out of time today of some of the things that you saw in my live stream. And if you purchase from those Amazon associate links, you'll help support the channel. That helps me get other items to bring on the channel. So again, I do get some kickback from Amazon, but you don't pay more, you pay the same. But with that said, Tony's got this free training series. So subscribe to his channel and go take that. And I believe you could probably go ahead and get your Part 107 without ever having to purchase a drone. But you might as well get one if you're going to take the class. If you're just fascinated about learning, I did like I have 12 hours of studying already. They say average 20 hours, but I'm not that guy. I have to absorb it, and then I have to quiz myself. There's some great channels on YouTube where you can do quizzes where they take you through every test trial question, not the test that the FAA gives you, but practice tests, and they take you through and help you understand the trick. Multiple question. It's a multiple question test. There's 3 answers for every question. Again, right around 80 questions approximately, and they're multiple choice. There's always one that's completely wrong. Then there's one that might have some things that are right, but they're really wanting to drill down and see if you have the basic knowledge. And you're going to have to look at charts, which is a supplement that you get. You can take a calculator that does plus, minus, and all that. And a lot of these test locations, you have to register for them, and then they'll schedule your test. And you have about 2 hours to take the test. Some people have taken it in 30, 35, 40 minutes. Other people have taken the full 2 hours. I'm very methodical, so it will probably be 60, 70, 80, 90 minutes for me or longer. But it's really fascinating, the things that you can learn from that. So... And Tony's chiming in too. He has his Part 107 license. And let's fix that behind me. So Tony is also saying, let's stop recording. Tony is also saying that you could probably go ahead, study, and take that test, but it's going to cost you $150. Okay, this is really good. Thank you, Jay, for TVJ. It's good to have you. You were the early bird, I think an hour before my live show started, so I want to give you a shout out. Thank you so much for chatting with me then. And so, yeah, if you do come early or you see my show and you want to schedule to be reminded, go ahead and chat, because a lot of times I'm sitting in here working on the live show and studying and getting ready. So I love that. That was fun. So thank you, Jay, for doing that. So Jay's question is this: stop and think. My company requires anyone involved with our drone to be certified. In fact, most people don't own a drone. They only fly at one at work. So yeah, so let's talk just a little bit about this. It's such a good thing to bring up. So when you are going to fly with goggles, like DJI just came out with a new drone. I think it's all over their website. Let's see if it comes up here. Can I get back to just DJI's website? Come on. Let's go up. Sorry, you would think I spent some time at a computer and I would know how to do this. So this is the new drone. Try this camera, that's better. The DJI Avatar. And I'm not going to play the video, but I'll take you down through here real quick. And I already had friends reach out to me and ask me if I would like to have this drone. It has the headset and the little hand device to fly it. And it's a reasonably priced drone as well. But I really wanted to fly the Mini Pro. I've done my research, and not to say that this isn't a good choice, but the goggles brings up this point. If you have goggles on, you're supposed to be in direct line of sight of your drone. So technically, if you're going to fly a drone like this, based on the FAA regulations, someone needs to be watching the drone from you. So you need to have a team member with you watching the drone. If you're a really good pilot because you've just played around with drones your whole life and it's second nature to you, you could be the pilot on a team without a Part 107, but I would still get a Part 107 because there's things that you're going to learn in this class and in this manual, study guide, and everything else that's available for you on the internet. And if you don't want to read a manual, you can take classes online. There's classes. Tony recommended a class. I think it's $150, a video class. Tony Northrup, his channel, has, and it's in the description below tonight, he has a free video training. So he sits right there and takes you through numbers, takes you through the test. But again, to really get all the information and have that, it would be really good to be a pilot. Even if you're the pilot that's watching the drone and watching the sky, because not only are you in line of sight of the drone, you're supposed to be scanning the sky to make sure there are no other airplanes. So if you wonder why they would say, do not fly your drone in any circumstances where there's less than 3 miles of visibility, is because the FAA wants you to be able to see oncoming airplanes, manned airplanes, not unmanned, because flying a drone means we're on the ground with a controller. And I have one now, so it's nice to have a prop. Really cool. Can't wait to fire this sucker up. But they want you to be able to scan the sky. Now think about it. If I'm watching the screen, I'm not scanning the sky. So that's the challenge I have. When I'm flying, I don't want to be glued on the camera, because think about my peripheral vision and my ability to scan the sky is almost automatic, even though every few seconds I would be scanning 10% of the sky, right? Looking around the drone if it's out there, making sure that there is not any incoming aircraft or anybody else up there with the drone, because the goal is to not have any collisions. And obviously airplanes and different people flying, like we know behind our house, about once or twice a month, if I'm watching, there's guys flying the kites that have like the little trike, and they fly up there. I don't know how, I guess they just take off from the runway right in Richland, and they fly all over this area. So if I was flying my drone, I need to be aware of them, and that's a manned vehicle. And when you are in proximity to a manned vehicle, it's really important to know the rules. So if you're up there without your Part 107, flying just for the fun of it and don't know the rules, you can still get yourself in trouble, right? If you cause an accident or if you don't give right away, because if you're not a manned vehicle, you have to give them right away. And there's limits to how high you can fly, both around buildings, because you can break that 400 foot height in certain areas. If you're within 400 feet of a building, you're supposed to be 2,000 feet away from cloud cover. So there are so many things that we need to talk about. And we'll be talking about this Part 107 in some of the post shows coming up. I don't want to bore you to tears, but tonight's is about the Part 107 test and all the things it covers. Again, 83 pages, and I'm learning about how to read a chart and know what radio frequency I would use. Even though I don't have a radio, I'm not probably ever going to talk to the tower, but I have to learn that specific stuff, and it's fascinating to me. Then there is this whole concept of different airports and different zones and different classes of protected airspace. And it's quite fascinating that our airport here is different than the Seattle airport. And there's layers of protected airspace over airports. They get wider as you go up higher. Now, why does that matter if you're only going to fly at 400 feet? Well, they just want you to know you may not be on a 4-lane highway, and you may not ever drive on the Autobahn, but it's kind of good to know the rules, or good to know what's out there. And also kind of knowing if you had permission to fly in a area that is restricted, not restricted, but has an airport, and you get permission to fly in that area, it's going to be really important for you to know where airplanes are dropping out from. So they may be really high above you, but if you fly closer to the airport, you could then be in a lower altitude where there are planes coming down. Remember, these planes come all the way down to the runway. That's why there is airspace that's protected in and around airports. Then there are military zones. There are areas that you need to be aware with. There's weather balloons that are up there. So you need to know how to read a chart and know where they are, where they're located. And then there's practice areas where they're firing missiles and all of that in the military, and that's quite fascinating as well. So that's kind of my response to you, TVJ. And so go ahead and get your license. Okay, off topic, but I'll answer this because, again, it's my show and I can. This is looking kind of tasty, this mixture of honey. So, oh, I never gave it to Ben. I'm in so much trouble. Here, Ben. Watch that for me.
Okay.
Just be quiet down there.
I'm sleeping.
I know, but it's not winter. You shouldn't be hibernating right now.
Okay.
So thank you. Anyway, so the honey's in Ben's hands. Back to this question. So I would recommend some switches, right? So if you have an A10 Mini Pro, they're not instantaneous. So you can just get a 2 in and 1 out switch. I tethered and showed you my studio early. I will tether again and show you the switches that I use, and then we'll get back to the part 107 here. So let me make sure chat is off the air here and cut to this view right here, and then cut to this channel right here. So here's the switches that I have. I'm stuck. So here's my A10 Mini Pro, and I have 4 things coming in, but I have these switches. Now this one I'm not using right now. I am using this one, so I have 2 things coming in and 1 channel going out to channel 4, right there. So 2 things coming in. I can switch between 1 or 2 by pushing that button, and 1 coming out, and that's what I would recommend you do if you want to add more channels. And as I said earlier, might as well show you this. Where are you? Back here. So there is overexposed, sorry. I don't know what is going on with the overexposure tonight with Filmic Pro, but this is my extreme, and channel 3, you can see I have it marked ATEM, camera 1, camera 2, my ATEM. That's all of these channels right here. So if I want to go to chat, it's on my PC. So I'd have to switch to chat. You guys would lose your picture. If I want to use my overhead camera, it's right there over top of me, and that one times out. So it's not even on right now. I'll turn it off and back on. And then you can see right now in the multi-view, there is my mobile cam right there in the multi-view. So the A10 Mini Pro comes the program out into input number 3. And then I have my desktop laptop. I can also bring in my PC desktop right there. That's what I use for chat. And then I have fill 1 or fill and key, and that is this HybridX Mini, the old version, Studio Mini. And then over there is my HD Plus, and it comes in to channel 7 and 8. So I have 7 channels here left because 1's taken up, but I have 4 over there, and I can even do more. And again, channel 2 brings in my HybridX shuttle, which is right there on my desk, and that's how I showed you the teleprompter right there from that. And that comes in here, or I can use my streaming bridge. And if I want to change to my streaming bridge, I got to switch right up here. And I have it all unhooked right now. So it's coming, my HybridX is coming in direct right now. My streaming bridge is not hooked up through this switch. So, okay, enough on that. But again, I want my channel to be a place that you can come and get tutorials and learn how to live stream better. That's my passion. So thank you so much for answering that question or asking that question. I hope you enjoyed the answer. Let me text my friend here that doesn't read his text. So part 107 is some work, but you learn so much about being a pilot, and I'm fascinated by it. So will I end up buying an airplane at 61 years old? We'll have to see. I definitely am excited about having a drone, a DJI drone. I've watched DJI drone videos for a long, long time, and absolutely am ecstatic about what it's going to feel like when I finally learn how to fly it better and have a license to use it for commercial footage. And again, we were also shooting video footage of locations. So it's good for planning, like for an off-site show. Tony, you had asked me this earlier. An off-site show, if you're trying to be able to lay out RVs, it's good to fly over an area and get that shot. And again, I had to get help to do that. I had to get someone with the Part 107 license, and they had to come fly over that restricted space. Good news is it was far enough away from an airport where it was just free to fly, but we also were flying over people, so we had to make sure that we did everything according to the rules. So TVJ, I spent 40 hours in training before I felt like I could take the test. Yeah, that's probably me. So I will be taking this book with me on my little trip. I've already done 12 hours. I've done some online tests, which is great because I like it when someone else is taking you through the questions and talking through their thought process as they're making those choices. So that's been interesting to me. And again, I will put a couple links to those places that I went. I ran out of time, so you only have that one video link right now below. And then I think I put the FFA link there too. So don't make the mistake of going somewhere and paying a fee just to register your drone. You can do it yourself. It was a piece of cake. You just print out the card. I laminated it, and I'm going to have 2 cards, one for each drone case. I made 2 copies of my past test. That'll go in both of my drone cases. I will have 2 copies of this booklet. Again, they recommend that you have this with you at all times. So it's going to go in a drone case. So that gives me the rules, and good. It's good reading if I'm just sitting somewhere and I want to refresh myself. And this is more about kind of how that club operates. And you don't have to join the club in order to read their directions and read their rules. So what was your score? How did you do on the test, Jay? Let us know. Hey, G. Brady. Thanks for joining us. I don't know if I've seen you live before, so thank you for joining me. I say hi. Thanks for greeting everybody. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. And again, if you are watching tonight and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please ring the bell if you want to be alerted for the next videos. And I posted a video today on the behind the scenes of a podcast. Like and also share would be great. Jay, I never took the test. I studied and then realized that if I work paid for it, which they do, then I would be doing drone stuff all the time and simply didn't have the capacity for it. So I get that. So if you're working for a company and you're the guy with the Part 107, they're going to ask you to be responsible for every single flight. So I appreciate you letting us know that. But 40 hours. So it'd be interesting how you would do on the test. So if you want to keep it your secret, I won't tell anybody if you take the test or not. You know how to get a hold of me via email. So, okay. Okay, thanks on the switches. How many switches do you have and what brand are they? Well, I don't remember all the switches, but right now, if you want to write this down, it's VWRHAR. You can find them on Amazon. So I have one of those switches, and then the other ones, I covered them with my label. So I will have to look back through some of my other Amazon links and put that in the notes later so that you could find those. I apologize for not knowing. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 7 total switches in my studio, and not enough time tonight to share that. But if you go back to my 1,000 subscriber live, and thank you again for all of you guys who subscribe. I appreciate it so very, very, very much. I do need to do another thank you video. I was doing them quite often, but now I haven't, and I apologize for that. But thank you so much. I applaud you for being so patient and joining me here live as well as watching the videos. But I use that for a number of things. I use it to switch between going to my HyperDeck or going to my extreme ISO with my EOS-R, and because it has 4K clean HDMI out, so my HyperDeck HD Plus and my Mini will record 4K at ProRes. So if I want a higher recording quality, I can do that. I do get better resolution if I record directly from the camera into a HyperDeck. I can come out of my HyperDeck HD Plus now, so it's kind of weird. I don't just go from my camera into my HD Plus, then into my ATEM, because there's a delay. And when I'm playing videos, it wouldn't be broadcasting, because you got to either be in record mode if you want to send the video signal through, or you're in play mode. And when you're in play mode, there is no video going through. So I have to choose if I want to go there or not. And that's mainly when I'm recording videos. And this is the EOS-R. It's the only camera right now in my studio that has 4K HDMI out. The EOS-R does not. It does have a better quality HDMI out, a higher bit rate, 422, I believe, and it comes straight out of the EOS-R. The 5D Mark IV, which is this camera, and this is the Canon EOS-R, which is a mirrorless camera that's been out for a number of years now. So I hope that answers your questions. Rapid fire some more. So yeah, you can use those. Just realize that when you switch them, those switches, there's a delay. Like if I switch on my ATEM Mini Pro, it's instantaneous. That's what you're paying for. So if you can afford to get like an ATEM Mini, you can have 4 inputs and 1 output. That's a great tool, expensive tool, but the switching would be instantaneous. You could do graphics over those cameras because you have a upstream key and a downstream key. You have a media pool, and you could also stream to another channel if you have fast enough internet in your house. So you could have that one camera go to Facebook while you're doing a YouTube production. So think about that. If you have fast enough internet, you could be going to YouTube and to Facebook through an ATEM Mini Pro, not a Mini, because the Mini does not have streaming built in or encoding. You have to go to the Pro or the Pro ISO to get that kind of stuff. You're welcome. Yeah, I wish I could say I know where everything's going, but you can label it. But if you don't use it every day, if you're 61 years old, you forget. I do not have a date scheduled yet, Tony. I really wanted to try to get everything done before the wedding this weekend. Then I found out if you don't have a special permit, you can't fly on the Oregon coast anyway. And in fact, the wedding will be no chairs, no display. You have to go through insurance and have permits if you're going to have any kind of display. So literally, we're going to walk out on the beach as a family, about 16 of us total. The wedding's going to happen there, and then we're going to go back and have a gathering at the condos that we've rented for the weekend. That's going to be fun. And I believe it's $150 for the Part 107. Tony's saying 160. So you definitely want to be prepared if you take the test and not be unprepared. So let's talk about 2 more things before we wrap up tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So obviously you could go limitless drone, right? This is about $600. You can buy the kit that I bought for $900 and some change. If you buy the Mini 3 without, Pro without the more expensive controller, it's even less because you're paying for this. So you can get it even cheaper than I got it. I would recommend getting a Maverick 3 if you have the money. I would have gotten it if I was more experienced. There's some advantages to it. Don't really like the second camera on it because of a number of reasons. One thing is just the resolution of that, but the drone itself is amazing. It has more avoidance detection built into it, so that's cool. It's going to be a little bit beefier, so it should fly better in wind, a little bit safer probably when you get closer to a mountain range. If you get too close to that, remember you have updrafts and different things like that during parts of the day. And then when things cool down in the desert, it's just the reverse. So our wind shear in and around the desert in our area is pretty crazy. And there are some really cool places that you can go to fly your drone. We also have water. We have 3 rivers in and around the Tri-Cities, the small Yakima River, the Snake River, and then the Columbia River that runs all the way out to the ocean. The Snake River runs into the Columbia River. And so flying over water is different, not just because of the danger of crashing your drone, but also water is cooler than the ground, and desert, it's a big drop in temperature. So keep that in mind. So be aware of all those things. But if you are going to take the test, it's going to cost you about $160. And if you fail it, you have 14 days. So let's talk about some numbers. Not only do you need to register your drone, you can't register your drone if you're not 13 years of older. So if you're going to go register a drone, I know probably everybody tonight is over 13, but like Dominic, my grandson, is just now 13, so he could buy and register his first drone. So who would register that drone? It would have to be a parent, and then the parent would be responsible. So, but if you are going to buy a Mini 3 Pro, it's got a fixed aperture. What does that mean? It's not like my iris that can open and close. The Maverick 3 has not a non-fixed aperture, so it's got a variable aperture. So when it's flying towards the sun, it can adjust how much light's coming in. Where the Mini Pro 3 does not have a variable aperture. You're paying for that if you buy the Maverick 3 or other drones that DJI makes and other companies make, because DJI isn't the only manufacturer that make drones. So these have circular polarizer filters, which cuts down on the glare. That's going to look really good if you're looking into water, or like that shot I was talking about in the live show that I'm going to do. We're going to be flying up to or from a window back, and we want to make it look like we flew right into the window. So we're going to have a circular polarizer filter on. It's going to be brighter inside the RV. So I want to adjust for the light inside the RV when I do that shot, because again, it's going to be perfectly exposed, hovering, and then we're going to hit record and pull back. And then we're going to open the window, maybe even take the glass out. I don't know yet. And we're going to actually take my DJI gimbal, my Ronin S, and we're going to walk my camera directly in, and it's going to look like the drone flew right in the window, and then it's going to look like it's hovering there for the shot, but it'll actually be a gimbal, and I will need the ND filters with the circular polarizer built on, and these are round. That's how you tell the difference. And then these do not have a circle polarizer, so these are just for adjusting for how much light's out there. So if you want that beautiful beach shot with the waves coming in, then, and you want to get the clouds and the sun and all of that stuff, you're going to want to get exposure right for that. Just remember that that's almost always brighter than the water, except for sometimes the water can be brighter with the sun reflecting on it. So you got to make these decisions. And obviously when you're flying around in the air and that drone is turning every direction, how do you then know exactly what filter to put on the drone? Well, those are creative choices that you have to make, both as a photographer, videographer, and as a drone videographer or photographer. The other thing that really excites me about having a drone is photographs. I've always wanted to have a drone with a high resolution camera that can take photographs. I love the perspective for landscapes. So I just want you to know that's a passion of mine. Landscape photography is a passion of mine. And to do that from a drone for me is very exciting. And I for sure want to share that video footage and those still images on my channel, and it is monetized. That means that it's commercial. And if you want to use your drone footage commercially, you have to have a Part 107 license, and you need to have it with you when you're out there shooting. Now, if a police officer or someone comes up to you and asks you to see your license, you have to produce it. Any law enforcement, doesn't have to be the FAA. If they ask for it, if you have an accident and you do $500 of damage to anything or above, you have to report it. You have 10 days to do that with the FAA. If you injure someone and they're hospitalized, you have to report that within 10 days. If they just get a drone hits someone and they get a scratch and it's nothing but a Band-Aid and they're not going to have to be hospitalized, then that does not have to be reported unless someone then reports you crashing your drone into them and you get a call on the phone from the FAA. You do have to then, if they request it, you have to fill out a report, but you don't have to until they contact you. These are all questions that could be and possibly will or might be on the test. So then there's all kinds of numbers that you need to remember, not only 400 feet high, 2,000 feet away from clouds, 3 miles of visibility before you can even fly, 10 days to send a report to the FAA. There's so many of those things. And I love how Tony Northrup in his video link below, again, this is not a sponsored video, but a shout out to Tony and Chelsea if you ever see this video. But they have a video where Tony talks about the numbers right off the start to help you get those in your head. So you could fire up that video 15 or 20 minutes before you walk in and take your test and watch that segment and get all of those numbers fresh inside your head. So again, $160 according to Tony for what it's going to cost. Surprisingly, the DJI Mini series performed quite well in the wind and windy conditions. Yeah, and that's another thing on the test is that they're basically saying that you have to be aware of the weather. If you're flying, you have to also know if there's been any restrictions that have been made in your area. So all of those things are really important. So thank you, Tony, for recommending that before you fly, B and then the number 4, I think a U and then fly, FLY app on your phone. And I do have that on my phone right now as well. I've already loaded the DJI app on here. But the Before You Fly app, if I can find it here, right here, it tells me right now that it's clear to take off. So this is a free app and it gives me information. But just because I'm in a feel free, clear to take off, I've got to pay attention to the weather. I also have to make sure that there's not, like we have a big event every year in July where there's planes flying and they restrict all kinds of airspace during those shows right here in the 3 city area, Richland, Pasco, and Kennewick. It's called the Hydroplane Races, and they have an air show every year at that. So you'd have to be aware of those particular events. Weather applies as well. And all of that is in the study guide. So you even have to know the different type of clouds and what clouds are safe to fly when they're in the air and what clouds you should be concerned about and how the weather might change. So you're going to actually learn about cloud cover and exactly how to read charts. So you're going to know how to read charts. You're going to have to be able to figure out longitude and latitude and be able to identify things on the chart in those areas. There's test questions where you actually have to tell in 3 multiple choice questions. One of them will be the longitude and latitude of a certain airport and other things on that test. So I will locally and on my channel let people know that I do fly commercially my drone, but I'm not looking for specific go out and fly my drone work. So that obviously is something to consider, you know, before you advertise, because if you advertise that you do that, you will get some phone calls. Like, I could shoot a wedding, but I do not advertise that I'm a wedding photographer. I'm more than capable of being a wedding photographer and also a videographer. And I even have people in my family and my friend circle that could help me and assist. But I just don't do that. That's not what my company does. Primarily, I'm a consultant for live streaming, as well as I can shoot commercials. Primarily, I like to help people with their social media, especially startup businesses or small businesses. I want them to be able to understand how they can use video, either video from their phone. That's why I have this kit. This is, again, the Light Chaser kit by Polar Pro. I have 3 filters that can be on here. One is a circle polarizer. The other 2 are ND filters, variable. So I can go shoot quality video with my iPhone. I also have the DJI gimbal for my phone, the 5, and you can use your phone for that. So I teach phone photography and videography. I also help people install live streaming equipment, mainly get the research, find out what they need to use. I do consulting for ATEM training and all kinds of stuff. And I love to work right here from the studio. That's why I have so many different cameras and different angles, because I need to be able to actually, like a teacher, display things on my Wacom One tablet. And again, these are on sale all the time now. And you could get one of these as a monitor, and then you can actually use it. It's a great drawing tool. You can also display slides on it. You could bring PowerPoint onto it. And it's nice to have your PowerPoint right here when you're doing training, so that you can look down at a slide and then look up at the camera, because it's normal for people to look down and up at a camera. So quite fascinating. Lots of fun things that you can do inside the studio. So that's kind of my business model. So yeah, obviously anything spinning at the speed of a little drone, depending on the size of the blades, the size of the drone, how big the motors are, they are quite dangerous. And not to say that you would get really probably any bad severe cuts, but you could, especially when it's a brand new blade. You're also supposed to be keeping a flight log and inspecting your drone prior to flight, after your flight, because let's say you do hit a tree branch. You're responsible as the pilot to make sure that you're doing proper maintenance. And if there's a big chip out of one of your blades, and here are some blades right here, they're in sealed packages, and I have extra blades for this. They come off with a screw, same with the DJI Mini 3. These come off as well with screws, and it comes with a little tool. But you need to be checking the blades. So, and there's lots of blades, 2 on each of the 4 propellers. And so you want to check those and just inspect your drone, make sure you're flying with a full battery. So there's lots of things that you need to be checking that, as well as making sure you take the cover off. You could hurt your gimbal. Again, these are 2 to 3 axis gimbals, and you could hurt that if you leave that on. So lots of little things to be concerned about. And if you wreck your drone into someone, and so as I was flying, I'll tell this story. As I was flying my Limitless 4, right in my backyard, 3 feet off the ground, I was just practicing landing and getting a feel, just getting the muscle memory of what the drone does. Does it go up and down? And again, when you get close to the grass, there's lots of heat. So there's a little bit of thermal stuff happening on the very, very, very hot days I was flying. My drone all of a sudden lost signal and flew around the corner and smacked into my window. Literally, I had a wreck. And it only had my drone out for a couple days. So I had to look at it. Everything was fine. There was no damage to the propellers. It fell down. Around my house is rocks, little river rock about yo size. So it hit that. There is actually, if I pull this cover off, which is hard to get off, I have a nick on the front of this drone. So it's actually scratched, and it wasn't working right. The company that gave this to me as a gift was going to send it back to Amazon, and I can't with good conscience do that because I've already damaged it. It's not going to affect the picture, right? But that's why you want to have a UV filter or something on your drone. I did not. I will not ever fly, if I have anything to say about it, my new Mavic 3 Mini Pro without my UV protector on it. That's going to protect the lens. So if it does crash, then it'll wreck it, not something else. So again, those are all things you need to think about and consider. So before we wrap it up, because I do have a birthday party to go to tonight, I might get a embroidered jacket that says Part 107 certified. I don't know. My mother has a beautiful brother, multi-$1,000 embroidery machine next door. She's getting ready to do my logo, and you can see my Life's Journey logo right here on the screen. And so she actually said that she's going to, I gave her a printout copy of my logo. She can scan that in her brother machine, and then it will actually embroider. And so I'm going to get some shirts embroidered, and I might just do that and come to the show the day that I get my license and be wearing a shirt, and we will give Tech for Fun credit for that moment. So I'm not sure it'll be a flight jacket, FYI, but it will be fun. Okay, good night, Jay. Thank you for attending. Is the chip in the lens why it's not doing 4K? No, it was actually not working right from the very beginning. I don't know what's going on. It could be user error, but I checked the video size and it's 2K and not 4K. And the still images I've been taking, I think I got one at 25 megapixels. The rest were at less, that just above 1 megabyte or smaller. So that's not right. So I'm not really sure. I did send some footage, in all fairness, to the drone clone experts, and they responded that they looked at the video that I sent and it was 4K and the pictures were 25 megapixels, which blows my mind because I sent them 4 or 5 videos and 4 or 5 still images, and I think only one of them was 25 megapixels. So go figure. But thank you, Tony. I hope I am well on my way. Wow, so that is Joe. So Tech for Fun is Joe from Conjoling Technology. Says he deleted his channel. And thank you, Joe, for that little gift that you're sending. Hopefully, with your permission, I'll share on the channel. And you never know, there might be something special coming your way. So anyway, we'll see. Yeah, that would be cool. I remember when I was a kid and I watched the Peanuts, and Snoopy was always fighting the Red Baron. I think that was my favorite all-time segments when I watched the Peanuts. We might even have a Peanut theme playing at this wedding. We'll just have to wait and see. So I maybe will nickname myself Bennett the Baron. That's so funny. So that's just kind of a semi-deep dive into the Part 107. I am going to continue to study. I am going to register my other drone because I did buy the Fly More pack with the heavier batteries. So these are going to make the drone overweight, but it will fly longer. And I would love to fly longer when I'm just doing it for recreation. And I will be flying recreational before I pass my Part 107. FYI, but I also want you guys to understand what it means to be flying recreational. It's quite a bit restricted, so keep that in mind. I definitely won't be posting any pictures or doing any roof inspections, flying over anybody's head. I will just simply be practicing flying my Mini 3 Pro as well as my Limitless 4. Both of them are great drones. So again, I'll probably figure out what's going on with the video with the Limitless 4 drone. Again, thank you so much for the drone clone experts for being on my channel. Hopefully Amazon will find my my camera that's lost somewhere in the mail so that we can talk about that in a live stream here in the near future. So I think I know what that means. Email me the specifics. probably unboxing it on the air. And thank you to Joe. I know you've been a lot of fun, motivation for getting the puppets out. Benjamin C. Bear says hi to Joe and some of my other week out friends. Again, thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I could talk for a lot longer on this whole testing process. I just wanted you guys to join me in learning about drones if you want to. I won't be doing a ton of stuff on my channel about drones because there's other things that I really want to cover. And I still believe there's people out there joining my channel. You might be even listening tonight or listening after this was live, and you want to know how to use your ATEM, how to use a Rodecaster Pro 2, how to use multiple cameras. If you don't want to buy a Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini or a YOLO box, how do you use OBS? Microphones like this Shure SM7B, or what about the new, smaller, less expensive Shure microphone? That's something that I'd like to get and cover inside my studio. I'm still getting ready to get a new camera. I'm just waiting for things to settle down in that market and find out what Canon's going to really do going forward with some of their entry-level cameras that are going to be on the horizon. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Next week, we'll be back Tuesday. No live show next week. I should be back in time for the wedding. I'll bring a couple pictures of the ocean. I'm going to take my Lee filters with me. So if you want to know more about Lee filters and how you use them to take photographs or even possibly use some of them in videography, you can check out last week's live stream on lighting and Lee filters. So thank you so much for joining me tonight live. As always, I can't talk and have fun if you're not on live with me. So thank each and every one of you. Again, every time you like, every time you share, every time you comment on the channel, it's important because it lets other people know there's things happening here. It'd be like if you drove by a house with a party and party lights and music and cars everywhere, and you drove by a house that has no lights on. We've all experienced that during holidays like Halloween when we were kids, and I don't know if I want to walk up and knock on the door that's dark and dingy on Halloween night. So thank you so much for joining me, making my live streams fun for me, for all the amazing questions, for helping me unbox all this crazy stuff. I have to clean up my mess later tonight. And then as soon as I get everything charged up, I'm going to go for a flight with my new drone. I'm so excited. Again, I am Keith. This is Life Journey Productions, the post show. From me, from Benjamin C. Bear, we want to say a good night. Ben, do you have anything to say? Ben. He's sound asleep, so he must have had too much sugar from the honey I stuck down there. So thank you. I will see you in the next live stream in a week, and be watching for that Polar Pro Light Chaser video that should be out very soon here on the channel, and check out the last one on Behind the Scenes of a Podcast. Until next time, I'm Keith. This is Life Journey Productions Studios, and I can't wait to see you all again.